Welcome to another episode of Hello, How Are You Today? I am your host, Mitch Corbett, and this week we have a very fun and entertaining conversation with Kristyn Green. Now, Kristyn is a comedian, a dancer, former crew staff worker, writer, producer, overall entertainer, and we kind of talk a little bit about everything. And this is actually the longest podcast that we've done so far to date. So bear with us. I hope you guys enjoy the long conversation that we have. But what you're going to see is we've never actually met in person. I reached out to Kristyn through Instagram after seeing her perform stand-up comedy on a TV show. And what you see throughout this episode is a friendship developing and with the culmination of this podcast ending. So I hope you guys enjoy this kind of like unique moment in podcast history, maybe, I don't know, but a real friendship is formed throughout this episode. So enjoy the conversation with myself and Kristyn Green. I was like, oh fuck, and then like I know that you are a dancer, an entertainer, like just overall entertainer. So like, and fucking like, I'm kind of that way too. So I feel like it would be good to talk about like how you wanted to become an entertainer, sort of thing.
It's so funny because like you do comedy as well.
I do comedy, yeah.
I thought so. Okay, so we literally have like so many things in common, from like comedian, working for Eastlink, working on cruise ships. What did you do when you were on cruise ships?
I was a video producer.
Cool.
Yeah.
For what line?
Princess Cruises.
How was that?
Great. It ended on a sour note, but it was great.
Ooh, may I ask what happened?
Dude, it's just one of those, you get a bad manager and it just fucking ruins the whole experience.
Oh, that sucks. Absolutely sucks. How many
but
contracts did you
that's
do?
where I met my wife, so, you know, I win in the end.
You had a cruise ship sweetheart? That is so sweet.
Yes, her name is Macarena. She's from Chile, Santiago.
Oh my God, that is wonderful. I'm so happy for you. How many contracts did you do?
8.
Oh, holy smokes. Like you were on it for like a while then. I only did 1. And even then I actually had to go home early. Earlier than I was supposed to. And then I was supposed to, long story short, I left on medical leave. And then it took a long time for me to get better. It was like, it was something with my voice. I ended up getting notes from, because my job was doing crew staff. And so
you're just talking all the time.
Just talking all the time. And then
let's not include like the crew bar where you're probably screaming and dancing all the time.
Screaming every night in the bar, screaming at the top of my lungs. I was. So it's so funny. Yeah. So I like my contract was supposed to be 7 months, but I left after 5 months. And then I came home and I was like in voice therapy and I had to get surgery and I had to do like all this stuff. I was off work for like 18 months. And then at the end of it, I thought I was going to go back and
COVID.
Well, actually, it was even before then. I was supposed to go back and they said no. Like once I got better and once I got fit for duty, they were just like, you're too much of a liability and we're not going to take you back. But then at that same time, I ended up like getting into film and television. So you talked about that show, Stand and Deliver, that I was on. And what's so funny about that is like a month before that happened, I happened to talk to this director like in the city and I was like, oh wow, I've always wanted to be work in film and TV. Like that would be the coolest thing. And then like a week later, she messaged me and was like, hey, my friend needs a PA for this show that she's doing. So I was like, okay, cool. Oh my gosh, this is like my in. And I show up and I'm like, I don't know what's about. I don't know anything about it. I just show up to be a PA. And then all of a sudden, like all of my comic friends start to walk in and I'm like, hey guys, like, what are you doing? What up? Anyway. And then it turns out that it was that show, Stand and Deliver. So it was a stand-up comedy show. And then like by the end of that, like first night of filming, it worked. Like all my comic friends like told the director like, hey, she also does stand up. Like she's not. Anyway. So then I ended up getting on it and then being on it. And that just like completely took off, like made my film and television career like take off. And like It's so funny because looking back on it at that moment, I was like devastated that the cruise ship wouldn't take me back. And that was my plan. And I was like, oh, I'll just work in this stuff while I'm waiting. And then it was like, no, anyway, so it was just like the universe, like coming together and being like, this is what you're supposed to do. And it was like, it was wonderful. Like I have no.
It's funny. We just started talking and we haven't even introduced you yet. So I'm just going to leave that in there. I'm with Kristyn Green.
Hi, I'm Kristyn Green.
We're just going to leave all that in there because that's just too good enough.
You're so sweet. I'm so sorry. I just got so excited to talk to you, I think. And especially because, again, like we've known each other then for like 2 years probably.
Yeah, but I messaged you and then you slowly messaged me back, and then we've kind of gone back and forth here and there. So like we've kind of developed this relationship, our friendship, through social media.
Yes, completely through social media. So it's just so funny that like, yeah, I was just so excited that as soon as it started, we were like, oh my God, okay, so hey, we have so much to talk about. What's up? Like, how are you? It's so funny.
So all right, let's go back again. You're from Halifax, right?
I'm actually from rural New Brunswick.
Okay.
Like super rural. If people ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from Florenceville, which is like in between Fredericton and Edmundston, but I'm also not from there. It's just like the big town close to me. So I say I'm from there. I'm actually from this place called Lower Knoxford, which is a rural community of about 90 people. And that's where
Jesus.
I'm from.
90 people.
I know, 90 people. And then the closest town to us is called Centerville, and that has a population of 500. And that's like the town for us.
Oh, okay. So we have lots of layers to peel back here.
Yeah.
So like, I'll tell you this quick story, and then it's because so I'm originally from Kincardine, Ontario, right? And so when I first moved there, it was like 2,000 people. I went to college in Niagara. And so when I first joined cruise ships, you know how you always do those promos when, hey, welcome to the cruise ship. This is our video producer, blah, blah. I would always say I'm from Niagara Falls because, that's where people know I'm from. Or they know that area. I went to Kincardine. Wouldn't you believe it? Fucking two of my mom and dad's friends are on the cruise when I'm doing it. And I'm and they say hi to me. And I'm like, well, guys, I usually say I'm from Niagara Falls, but I had to say I'm from Kincardine because I have two of my mom and dad's friends here.
Oh my gosh. Did you know that they were going to be there, or you just saw them?
I think it was a surprise.
Gosh, that is so funny. I love
Ruth and Les Shane, ruthless, known as a couple.
Oh, ruthless. That's the cutest thing I ever heard. It's and where were you in the world like when that happened?
Oh, fuck, where was I? I want to say it might have just been a Caribbean run, but I'm not too sure. I did 8 contracts, man. I did a lot of different runs.
You did a lot. Because that's what's so funny too. That reminded me of a story where my cruise ship went to Australia and New Zealand. And so there was like, it was actually amazing. I'm sorry.
Dude, I did a run. It's my favorite.
You did?
Spot. Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Finish your story.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So we were like in Tasmania or something. And I just start talking to this couple, and they asked where I'm from, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Canada. And they're like, oh, well, we're from the States. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm from like Eastern Canada. And they're like, I'm from New York. Anyway, and I was like, I'm from Halifax. And then they were like, oh, that's crazy. Our nephew like works in Halifax. And I was like, yeah, what does he do? And they were like, oh, he works on like boats or something. And I was like, yeah, what's his name? And then they like laughed, being like, oh yeah, like you know him. And then they were like, oh, Ryan. I was like, oh yeah, actually I worked with him for like 3 years on that boat line. Like and it was just like, it blew their minds. And it was the funniest thing too, because people always are like, when you're from the East Coast, you're like, oh yeah, what's their name? Who's their cousin? And people are like, yeah, like you're gonna know them. And then like you do know them because it's such a small place.
The same thing happened to me. I was on a catamaran tour in the Caribbean. And I was talking to this couple, and they're like, I'm just like doing my job, chatting shit. And they mentioned like, oh yeah, like our son's around your age. Or I don't know how it started talking, but like I went to college with their son, like same program. And then he went over to Police Foundation.
Oh my gosh. I love when that stuff happens. It is so cool. It's so cool.
Again, so Australia, New Zealand, what was your favorite port and why?
Ooh, wonderful question. You know what? My favorite port, I am blanking on the name of it right now. Uh, I, gosh, I wish I remembered it. I don't, but I did go to Hobbiton while I was in New Zealand,
Mhm.
and that was cool.
That's one
I
thing I
can't
never
remember.
did. I did it out of
Yeah.
spite. I did. Everyone seemed to go there. I was just like, I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I'm like, no, don't want it. But so I'll help try and jog your memory. My two favorite ports were
Okay.
Napier and Dunedin.
Napier. It's Napier.
Yeah, 50s Art Deco, man. What the hell? That was so cool.
Beautiful.
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 Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. And then Dunedin. In Dunedin, is that where you have to take like the bus into the square, into like the town square?
No, I think you're
Oh,
thinking of
shoot.
Auckland, maybe.
No, it wasn't Auckland. Anyway, gosh.
Dunedin would be where they had the Cadbury factory.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And in the middle they have this town square that's like an octagon or something like that.
Okay. I never got to go
And
downtown because I was always on the train ride because the train
oh,
ride is like one of my favorite tours of all time.
really? I never went on that train, but
Oh,
I
it's
went to that
so stunning.
station a
So like
lot.
as a video producer, I got to go on all the tours, right? So I got to see all the cool shit. And the
Cool.
guy was so friendly. He gave me a nice um kiwi bird necklace that my mom still has, and he gave it to me, so I gave it to her. But he was like, hey, the one time we were driving on the train ride, and he's like, hey, do you want to get a shot of us going over the bridge? I'm like, sure. So I'm there with my camera, right? And like I'm hanging out of the train, and he's holding me by my belt buckle, and I'm holding this, like, getting this
Oh
epic
my
shot of us going
gosh.
over the train or train
Oh
bridge.
my gosh. That sounds wonderful. And they have oh, I'm so jealous you went on that train. May I ask too, like, how did you get into video production then?
So I went. So there was a program in Kincardine that started. It was a brand new program called Media Design, I think it was. So I just started doing it in high school, and then I went to Niagara College, graduated television film there. Went on,
Wow.
did some internships, got the job on a cruise ship, and now I've went from cruise ships to Eastlink, from Eastlink to CoachGo.
Cool. What is that? What's that last one that you said?
CoachGo is like a version of Ontario of Eastlink in Ontario.
Oh, cool. What's that like?
It's good, man. I've produced like 5 different shows already.
You
So
are a producer, Mitch. I did not realize that.
yeah, well, a producer means like filming, editing, making the show,
Yeah.
creating the
Oh,
show, that sort of
yeah.
thing.
Like you
So
create shows though,
yeah,
like for you. I did not realize that. That's incredible. Wow. May I ask what kind of shows you've made?
yeah. So the shows so the first one was called Find Your Fit. So that was a show where like we're in the midst of like just getting over like the first lockdown in
Yeah.
Ontario, and so I want to encourage people to go find their fitness, because if you're more fit in shape, then hopefully COVID has less of an effect on you, that sort of thing. And so
Oh,
we went
yes.
to different gyms, showcasing the people's stories and like different physical activities I can do, because not everyone wants to go to the gym and lift weights and run a treadmill, right?
Yeah.
Some people find fitness through like you personally, you dance. That's probably where you get a lot of your fitness from, right?
Yeah.
So we did that sort of thing. And then I'm working on an art show right now where it's two artists doing like we get to know the artist, and then they paint something that's unknown to the audience, and then they reveal what they painted at the end, sort of thing. Doing a music show called In Studio, where we interview an artist, and then the last
I've
half is
heard
like
of
them
In
playing their own
Studio.
songs. Have you? Or
Yeah. Sorry, I got excited, but I'm pretty sure.
maybe I might have stolen the name from somewhere,
No,
because
I
we
think.
haven't aired it yet. So
Oh, then never mind. I'm so
it might
sorry.
be
I'm
just a
so
common name
sorry.
that someone has. But yeah, we do local artists, and they play their songs at the end. What else? And right now I'm
Cool.
trying to do a show where we talk to veterans and share their stories.
Wow. What I love about that is like you have the absolute most variety of things, and it's so cool that you are doing that. I honestly am so jealous.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so cool.
well, I mean, Eastlink can kind of do the same thing. You just got to come up with an idea and kind of film it. Like with Cogeco, I have very much freedom to kind of make whatever I want, which is kind of awesome.
Really? Wow, that's wonderful. And then do you like direct it and you do literally everything for it? Yeah, cool. That is so cool.
But let's talk a little bit more about you because you're the guest.
Yeah, sorry. I sometimes go into.
But no, it's great because we can just have a conversation and it doesn't seem like anything. So
yeah,
you're from this very small town of 50 people. And, you know, how do you get the idea to leave the town? Because I know for towns like that, a lot of it is like people don't really leave, if you will, sort of thing.
That is a wonderful question.
So how did you decide that you wanted to go venture out and do not only cruise ship stuff, but I mean, like, did you go to college and everything too before that?
It was a long road to where I am now. And in retrospect, like, it was all good experiences. I learned like everything, whatever. But I also feel like if I were younger and I would have like been able to talk to myself, I should have been doing this a lot sooner. So I'm from this like small town in New Brunswick, and very good point that like a lot of people don't leave. I think I was just very privileged. I was so privileged to be able to go to university. Now it's so funny because like during high school, like all throughout school, I was always in drama productions. Like I always went to Drama Fest. I loved being like performing. I did all the stuff. And then when like high school was ending and I had to figure out where to go, I thought that I should just like get a BA. Like everybody else was getting a BA.
But you're not like everyone else.
You're so kind. That's so sweet. I think, and I was so hesitant, and I was like, being from such a small town too, like I was so nervous to venture out. And so I went to a university that my sister and my brother had also gone to. It was Mount Allison. And I think most of the reason too was because like I would go visit my sister a lot. So like I knew Mount A, I've heard of the professors, I knew the residences, and it just seemed like a very like safe thing for me to do. So I went to Mount A, and I remember like I didn't even know what I was going to get. Like I just went, and which again now is so silly looking back on, but I ended up getting a BA in geography and religious studies. And but like during my summers, I would never, how did it start? No, I think it started in my first summer after my first year. My sister and I had this like deal for like 8 years that in the summer that after my first year of university, wherever she was, I was going to go live with her, and we were going to spend the summer together, because she moved away when I was like 13 or something, and it was devastating. And so she made that deal with me. So then I moved to Ottawa for that summer, and we had like the best time ever. But then like when the next summer rolled around, it was kind of like, oh, well, now where am I going to go? And I had 2 brothers that lived in Halifax. So then I was like, oh, well, now I'll go stay with my brothers. Again, it's like such a comfort thing of being able to like live with your siblings and, you know, like have someone there with you. I was so nervous. So then when I finished my BA, I ended up going back to Halifax because I fell in love with it. And it's beautiful down there. It is really nice. Oh my gosh. It is amazing. And it is now like, it is not where I'm from, obviously. And I've moved around a few times since then. I always come back to Halifax. And now it is like, this is my home. I love it here. And I ended up also during that time, I worked on the Harbor Hopper, which is this like really weird amphibious tour thing. Anyway, and I worked as a tour guide though. And so I was able to like perform again, and I was able to, and I didn't even realize it, but in retrospect too, like I was writing jokes for that tour, which I didn't know I was doing. Like I was writing jokes for it, and I was like practicing public speaking, all this stuff. And then, so when I finished my BA and I like worked a couple years in Halifax as like at a catering company, being like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm working at a catering company. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong. I just mean like, I didn't know what I was doing. And then I was so lucky. And this is another moment that like just had such a trajectory on my life. My oldest brother, Tommy, who's a musician and is also super creative like I am, and we're very like-minded. He called me one day and was like, hey, what are you doing on Sunday? And I was like, oh, nothing. Why? And he was like, I booked you on a stand-up comedy show and you need to write 5 minutes of material this weekend.
That's like a little bit of peer pressure.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I was like, no, okay. Like I was terrified. And then I went and did it, and I did okay. And then I never did it again for like 6 months. And then
how cool was that first experience going on stage? Because I remember when I did it first time, my friend Zach was performing, and he was like, do you want to try it? I'm like, I'd written some stuff, but I never like thought about. So I did 5 minutes, and like it went well. So it sounds like you just did well. So like how, like for me personally, I was like on a high that entire rest of the evening.
Oh my gosh. It is like, it was wonderful. And it was also scary because I also hadn't really gone to any stand-up shows, and even like I never even watched a stand-up. So I just didn't really know what to expect. And it was amazing. It was amazing.
We're gonna play a little game here. What was the first joke you told?
Wonderful question. I actually know it.
So do I, because it
really?
was good. Yeah. I'll tell you. You tell me yours. I'll tell you mine.
You know what's so funny? I have this one joke that I still use to this day, and this is the very first joke I ever wrote.
Same.
And you still use yours too?
Yeah, it's fucking perfect. It's short, it's sweet. Amazing. It just like hits it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my joke is like, I don't want to like pitch it maybe, or like perform it, but I'll tell you all about it. It's that the premise is like, you never forget your first love. And my first love was when I was, and this is a true story, was when I was in grade 1, and I was in love with this kid named Cyril, but I thought that his name was Cereal. So I would just like write in my diary, like, today I tried to talk to Cereal, or like a bunch of weird things about, and then I like make all these weird cereal jokes about and anyway, it's a lot better when you hear it, I promise. but
okay, so you want to hear mine?
Please.
Okay, when I was 17, I lost my virginity in a curling club. True story. I tried to go hard, but all I did was hurry.
What's so funny about that too is we're both like, both of our jokes, again, we're so similar. Both of our very first jokes are about our love, like about our love lives.
Yeah.
Or like our first things, like our first love experience or whatever. And yours is like losing your virginity when you're 17. Mine's like, I loved this kid in grade 1 that I thought his name was Cereal.
Yeah.
Like, we're so, it's
well,
so
some of the best material is based off like reality, in my opinion, right?
Oh,
like
100%.
You have to. But like
you
then
have to.
And then like once you nail, I think that like I haven't nailed anything down. I'm still trying. Yeah. Like I haven't nailed anything down. But I feel like once you nail down that like realistic aspect, that's when you can start like experimenting with like random ideas and like just weird shit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I feel like something that's helped me a lot is figuring out what my character is. But then also it's like, once you like find out your character, you can like figure out what you write according to your character. But also it's like your character is also in some ways like is yourself, or like a version of yourself. So then you're also like, it helps you like write. I don't know. Maybe that's all.
So I'll give you kind of a reference, right? So like in professional wrestling, which I have done as well.
You've done that too? Are you joking?
No, I'm not.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that.
Yeah. So in professional wrestling, they say that the best characters are the ones that are yourselves, but turn up to like 10.
Yes.
Okay? So when I wrestled in Newfoundland, I wrestled as the mainlander. So it's bad guy. So I would just play this guy that moved to Newfoundland, but 10 times, in the sense that I would just shit on Newfoundland and the people and the culture there and just get all the booze and everything.
My God, that is so funny. And also that you are deep down a bad person. So you put it up to 10.
I am not a bad person, but I have it in me. I have been burned so many times that, it's.
That is so funny. How the heck did you ever get into professional wrestling? I
fucking, like anyone, you start off as a fan, first off.
Crazy.
And then you find a school and you get trained and you wrestle, and then Bob's your uncle.
That is so funny. So what's so funny too is I find that there's a thing with comedians and wrestling. Comics comics love wrestling, love it.
Well, you got to think about the idea of wrestling, like professional wrestling. It's so eccentric and over the top. And as a comedian, you kind of have to be eccentric and over the top. So there's a lot of influences there.
Cool. I find next question. With professional wrestling, then I know people are like, it's fake, and I'm like, okay, it's like yes and no, but I'm like, that's also the point of it, is because it's so scripted and stuff like that. But when you're like physically wrestling, how much of it is real?
Oh, after every match, I would come home with like bumps and bruises all over my body.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The one time, I got hit with a chair in my arm, and there's a big welt just growing right here and everything. So
But then, it was
a real steel chair. It really hurts when the guy threw it at me. It's not.
And did you know that he was going to throw it at you or not?
No. That's the thing. I was right. It was we were doing a tables, ladders, and doors match. So we were using doors as tables.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was getting in the ring to kind of work with this guy named Matt, and he just picks up a chair and throws it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm just gonna
Oh my god.
And then the funniest part of that story is that I was on the outside and I was selling, which is you sell an injury sort of thing, kind of acting sort of thing, which you have experience doing. And I'm shaking my arm like this, kind of convulsing sort of thing. And my wife is working the camera, and she runs over. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm having to whisper to her, "I'm fine. I'm just, overselling sort of thing." She was that was the last time she did camera work for the wrestling show.
That's so funny. I've also heard that people, wrestlers, put little cuts so that when they get punched, they bleed more. Can you confirm or deny that?
That's an insider term called gigging. And usually, I've never done it before. I've just heard of it doing, where you take you usually wear wrist tape. This has been exposed to in the business before already, so I have no problem talking about it.
Okay.
But you take those razor blades that people shave with. So you break that off, and you stick a piece underneath the tape, and then you just kind of go. And then that's how. Not a lot of people do that anymore, so don't worry. It's more of a old school method for intensifying the match. I
can't believe I would never be able to voluntarily do that.
Well, the thing about that is adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, I guess so. Yuck.
So
that's so cool, man.
You get encouraged to do stand-up comedy by your friend or your brother.
Yeah.
So how did did that first stage just make you fall in love with it and you want to keep on doing it? And have you been writing ever since?
I will warn, I don't do it as much anymore. I still kind of pick away at it. But this is back when I first started doing this. So this was in 2016. I did that first show, and I loved it. And I tried to do another show, and then that second show that I did didn't turn out very well. And then I just didn't do it for another 6 months. And then again, same brother was because he also once in a while did stand-up comedy as well. So then he was like, hey, why don't we both do it again? Now that it was June or something like that. And so then we did it, and it went really well again. And something that really helped me was that show, there was a producer named Frank Russo. Do you know him?
From Eastlink? No.
He was a comedy show producer, but he's a comic in Toronto
Okay.
now. But he used to produce shows here in Halifax. And he was the first person to come up to me and be like, hey, do you want to be on my show? And I was like, wow, yes, I do. And because also, like, looking back on it, it was so incredibly intimidating. And especially being like a young, I think I was like 22, 23, like young girl. And also at that time, there weren't many female comedians. They were like in how.
Being a female comedian is probably, I would say, one of the harder things to do.
It sucks. Like I do think that it is a lot better now. And I don't know if it's going to stay that way or if it's going to like go back. But now anytime that I go to shows, like I feel people are so welcoming. There are so many more female comics. But when I first started, there were like 4 maybe, like out of like 20 or 25 or anything or whatever. Anyway. But anyway, so Frank was the first person to come up to me and be like, hey, I have a show and I want you to come on it. And I was like, wow, that's so kind. And then so that like really helped my confidence. And then I started falling in love with it. And I think too, because I just had spent so long doing things that I wasn't passionate about. And I wasn't like, I was just doing things because I thought I should do them. That it was like the first time that I felt that passionate again in like 9 years, probably, or not 9 years, but anyway, 7 maybe. And anyway, and I just was like, yep, this is it. Like, I just like latched onto it being like, oh, I have some purpose and I have passion and now this is what I'm going to do. So I like latched onto that and I did it still in Halifax for a few months. And then again, because I was like, this is what I'm doing now. I got to learn as much as I can about this. I decided to move to Toronto to go to Second City School.
Oh, shit, really? That's awesome.
I was like, yeah, I was so hooked. And so I went there and I studied for only like 8 months or so, but I took like acting, improv, writing, screenwriting, sketch writing. Like I just try to like take everything that I could learn while I was there. And I had a wonderful time. I performed a bunch. I like for the summer lived in Kensington Market, which was like still to this day, like one of the best summers of my life. And then eventually I was like, all right, I need to make some money because I've been trying to do comedy for like a year now. And I to this day, like, it's better now, but I remember during that time, I had spent 1 year pursuing stand-up comedy and I made $35. Like it was all because it's all like, as you know, like it's all open mic stuff. You're always like, once in a while you'll get a booked show, but also at the time, like I wasn't that experienced, so I wasn't getting them. And it's all like for free. And then that's when I was like, I need to make some money. And my same brother, Tommy, worked as a musician on royal ships. And before that he did Carnival, but he worked on cruise ships for like 8 years or something like that. And he was like, hey, there's this job where you host trivias and you host karaoke's and do all this stuff. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to try that then. And that is how I got to work on cruise ships.
Oh. Okay. So I want to retract a bit I want to talk more about comedy. So you did comedy first and then you went on a cruise ship, right? Yes. So let's try and go linearly.
Yeah, it's really hard for me. I get really excited.
No, that's why I'm here. I'm the host. I got to try and keep this ship in order, blah, blah. So what were the differences between the Halifax comedy scene and the Toronto comedy scene?
Wonderful question. I think, and it's so interesting because it is mirrored this way, like in the film industry, I think as well. Halifax and Toronto, the biggest difference is like Halifax is a big enough city that there are opportunities there. Or like it's a big enough city that there is an industry, there is a scene. In Toronto, obviously, it's a lot bigger. There are so many opportunities. There are so many things that you can go and get and all that stuff. But in Toronto, there's a huge competition for it. There are literally so many people, where in Halifax, little less of a competition. You can get things by just knowing people, kind of word of mouth. So it's kind of that like difference of like, oh, do you want to be like a small fish in a very big pond, or do you want to be a big fish in a small pond? And what works best for you? And for me, for me in Toronto, it was just a bit too big for me. I'll be completely honest.
I can see, because I've met, like, I remember there was a group of comedians in St. Catharines, and they're from Toronto, and trying to socialize with them was like fucking bang your head against a brick wall. It was like, that's the thing I've never understood about, like, I've been doing it for like 2 years consistently, I want to say.
Wow.
Like in Newfoundland and now in London. But like, there's some people that just, for me, comedy is supposed to be this thing where like, you're trying to make people laugh. Wouldn't you want to be around people that make you laugh? Like, when you want to, like, and I've never understood like how these people are comedians, but don't want to have interactions with other people.
Oh, that's a wonderful point. And then what was so weird is that because like they are being a female comic, and it being it ended up like it made us compete with each other instead of us helping each other. And especially because a lot of the time in Toronto, they like have this mandate of like, oh, you have to go boy, girl. You have to have like, and they're trying to implement all these things, but then, and it's supposed to be like this fair thing about being like, oh, you have to have so many females on your show. But instead that ends up just making us compete against each other. And so I felt when I was there, like I had some female comics, but a lot of the time it felt like, there wasn't that like community.
Have you ever seen Kill Tony at all?
No, what the heck is that?
Okay, so comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, right? He runs a show called Kill Tony, where people sign up at the beginning of the show and they get their names called, they're pulled out of the bucket, and they have 1 minute to perform stand-up, right? And what you just described is a situation that happened on a recent episode where like he pulled a female's name, she went and performed, then there's another woman in the audience who's like, oh, you should have picked me, and then they gave her a chance and she bombed the shit, and then another one came and it was like these three females just like meh. Like it was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Very frustrating to see.
So funny.
As someone who is like trying to be more positive and put out positive energy, like seeing these people fight over like a minute of stage time was like, and like trying to tear each other down, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, so
that's completely what I feel. So I think I personally love the Halifax comedy scene. Like, again, I haven't really been in it as much, like starting to work in film and then with COVID and stuff like that. And I've learned that I like doing it. I really enjoy doing it, but I don't want to like hustle anymore. Like I don't need to really do it to try to get bigger and try to really like make a career out of this or anything like that. Like I've now know that it is a hobby of mine. I love to do it, but I only do it for fun. So I don't want to try to hustle. I don't want to try to push myself to perform when I don't want to perform. Because also, I don't know if you feel this way, like it also obviously really affects your mental health, like performing in one sense, because I find too with performing, it's like, and with stand-up comedy, it is the most extremes I have ever felt in anything ever, where you like can absolutely, you are literally the highest of high, or you are the lowest of low. And on top of that, you don't really have a lot of control over that. Like, yes, you have control over your set, but there are so many external factors that you can't control that can make a show good or bad. And sometimes
a perfect example of that would be like performing in front of a crowd. or performing in open mic where it's just comedians trying to make each other laugh.
Yes, yes, and I
and
hate.
they're like, no, I'm that's like they don't react to anything. It's like, come on,
And they
man.
don't react to anything, and then also, and then they also feel like competitive with each other, so they'll be like, nah, well, it's not that good, or like being like crappy.
Listen,
and
here's the
they're
thing:
like,
if they wanted to be competitive, then they wouldn't say the same fucking goddamn joke every open mic.
That is a wonderful point, Mitch. that is a wonderful point you made.
This is something that frustrates me so very much. Is that like I bring my wife to these open mics, and like the one time she's like, if I hear so and so say that one same joke again, I'm going to fucking
I'm going to die.
So I've stopped bringing her to shows.
Well, that's what's like, so I feel so bad because in some ways I'm like, okay, I get it. And then it's like, I also want to be very patient because I know that you're trying to perfect it and you're trying to, but then it's like, but then there's a point where you're just like, just, it's a bit much.
And then there's moments where like, I've been to like one or two shows where like, I feel like I have a really good set, but then another person who may have just brought in, a bigger group or something like that, they get rewarded with like the spot on a show somewhere.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, so like when you say it's a hobby, like 100%, like I think that's the right attitude to have. But that being said, I think I want to take it seriously in terms of being able to perform, do a good job, but I also want to like take it into my own hands. So like from now on, I'm going to start recording my sets, and I'm going to wear the same outfit for everything. This is my plan. I'm going to wear the same outfit. I'm going to record every set from the same angle, and I'm going to just release a special just on my own. Cause like, fuck it. Why not? Yeah.
Is a wonderful idea. And I feel like we should have thought about this a long time ago.
Well, like I'm getting like, cause as like a comedian, like I'm starting to study more comedians and see what their influences are. And so one of the guys I've been studying is Andrew Schultz, and he's a guy that just releases stuff online, like from sets, crowd work specials, and he just puts it out there. And like, he got a Netflix deal and he has a very successful podcast. And like, so like that is, I think, the future. If you're a comedian, take it into your own hands, make it yourself.
Yeah. That is a wonderful idea. May I ask, like, when you are doing stuff like that, and especially in comedy, do you ever suffer like from imposter syndrome or anything like that?
Well, I mean, like, I did wrestling, so I mean,
yeah.
I was a different person on a wrestling show, so having that background really helps with the comedy.
Yeah, I bet that helps. That is so funny. Great response. I see a cat. Oh my gosh, there's a cat.
This is Chesteroo.
Chesteroo?
Yeah.
Hi, Chesteroo. Meow. I talk to cats.
My wife does too.
Really?
Yeah. We have two cats. One is a Nooks and a Moon, and one is Chester.
What was the first one?
A Nooks and a Moon. Have you ever seen The Mummy?
A Nooks and a Moon. Yes.
So, the funny story is, when we first adopted a Nook, she's very shy, was high and everything. No one told us that they'd run away and then eventually come to you, sort of thing. So, Maka reached in, and the cat bit her hand and got her hand infected, and it blew up to like the size of a baseball, sort of thing. And so, like, all right,
gosh.
The cat needs an evil name, and what's more evil than a Nooks and a Moon?
Amen. That is so funny. I also love the movie The Mummy. Love it.
Man, Brendan Fraser had a run.
Oh my God. Yeah. I will defend him until the day I die.
Good old Canadian boy, George of the Jungle. Are you serious? Like,
George of the Jungle was incredible. What an amazing film.
When you look at that cast, like you like Leslie Mann's in it, I'm like, what?
It doesn't make any sense. Those are my favorite movies. Have you seen the original Mummy?
With Brendan Fraser or the black and white?
No, like the Mummy, like from 19. I'm gonna forget the name or the year. Anyway, it's like Boris Karloff, and it's like one of those original like Universal monster movies or whatever. It's phenomenal. So
all right, so let's talk about, so like you're now, we'll come back to the cruise ship stuff. And now you're doing TV film. So where are some of your, do you go back and study those old films? Because I've been doing that. Like I did that like a while back where I went back and watched Casablanca for the first time. I was like, holy shit, this movie's amazing.
It's amazing. He's looking at you, kid. It's so good. Yeah. So now, like, so it's funny because I felt like I kind of just stumbled into film and TV, and still, like, when I was first doing it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do it for a bit, but then I'm gonna go back and work on cruise ships and like and all this stuff, and then it just like made sense to me, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, you know, actually how it started, it was because so I did that Stand and Deliver show. And then right after, the producer asked me if I would like to be one of the hosts on their show Haunted, which is a paranormal investigative show. And I was like, yeah, of course, that sounds so cool. So I did that first season. And then I was on that show and became friends with the people who worked on that show. And one of my friends, who was the director of photography for the show, was like, we were talking about something, and then he was like, oh, like, yeah, do you write? Or like, do you write? And I was like, no, like, oh no. And then I was like, well, actually I did take a lot of writing classes at Second City, and I like forgot, like anyway. And then it was just like, oh yeah, no, I love doing this. And I like didn't even realize that I loved it. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't even realize that like I was already set up from my past experience. Like I was even set up in a position where I could do it. And I was like, oh, like I didn't go to film school, so I don't have that like technical training. I can't be like a gaffer or like even a camera operator. But I was like, I love it. Like and now like I would love to write. I would love to direct. I have not yet. I was supposed to, it sucks, I was supposed to last year make my first short film, and then COVID hit. I was like, literally, it was that weekend we were going to shoot, and then
you're right about to say action, and then you're and
yeah. And they were like, nope, shut it down.
Hazmat suits coming running in. It's a completely different movie. It's like, oh my
2319. Exactly. That is so funny. So now, so now like I would love to do it though. And I have like written things here and there. I just haven't made anything of it. But your question, yes, I now like to watch films of things that I would like to make, or things that are my style. And I literally like take notes and be like, okay, what is it that you love about this? And stuff like that. So I think I figured out my style so far, except that, again, I haven't really been able to make anything, except for I made this one thing like over quarantine last year, and that was it.
Oh, what was the thing?
It was a like a 48-hour film challenge thing that I made completely on my own, and it was Star Trek inspired.
This was the plates and stuff, right?
Yes, it's called Space Pursuit, and it starred all of my stuffed animals, and I like built this set out of like cardboard and like all this garbage, like literally garbage. I built it. And that's like it's funny. I'm like, to this day, that's like the only thing I've made, but it's not even really a short film. Like, it's just like a weird thing that I did, but that is like the style of stuff I would love to make.
I'll have to send you the, so when I was on cruise ships, we were in Hawaii, and it was like same 7-day run over and over again. So
yeah,
we were getting kind of bored. And so myself and my junior, Christina Astad, who's from Philadelphia, we were like, fuck, what can we do for our commercial? Like something to do. And we're like, oh, let's make like and I was like, we were just like, this is a great thing about communication and just talking to someone who is a creator as well. You're just shooting the shit, and like someone comes to you.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do like a horror themed commercial. And so we had it where Christina was running away from the DVD collection, and it was stalking her throughout the ship. It was the most ridiculous thing in the world. And it was like, and then it just ended with like, don't forget to buy your DVD before it's too late.
That is so funny. I actually would love if you sent that to me. I would love to watch it. What did your boss think of it? Was it
this is one of those contracts where like my boss was actually very cool, and I showed it to her on the screen in the galley, or the gallery. She looks at me and she looks at Christina and she's like, "Fucking videographers."
That is so funny.
So you mentioned it. You mentioned Star Trek. We're all over the place, but you're a Trekkie, man, and like I think you're more of a Trekkie than me, but I love fucking Star Trek. I love it.
Yes,
I love it. All right, so here's the thing. I have so many people in my lives that are Star Wars fans, and I get it. But Star Trek is based off reality, and I love that dynamic of like, you know, real stories with a sci-fi element. I think that's what. Yeah. So, favorite series, favorite episode, favorite captain.
Oh, wonderful question. Okay. So I will warn. The only thing I will warn is that I'm actually a very new Trekkie, which you would not assume because I won't shut up about it and I act like I know everything about it and all that stuff. I only got into it like a couple years ago, so I haven't seen everything yet. But so far, favorite series is Next Gen. Favorite captain is Picard. And then what was the third question?
Favorite episode.
Oh, favorite episode. Okay, that's a hard one. There are so many, and I could talk about this forever, but I think the one that I always pick to show people is called, oh my God, I'm blanking on
There's so many episodes, so just describe it.
So many. It's the one, it's called, I remember. It's called Offspring.
Okay.
And it's the one when in Next Gen, when Data tries to make a child.
Oh.
Do you remember it? And he makes what's her name?
I vaguely remember it. I feel like it's somewhere down there.
Oh, it is like it is a phenomenal episode. And
it's heartbreaking at the end, isn't it?
Oh, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. It is the saddest thing I have ever seen, but it is a phenomenal, like that episode is like, it just blows me away. But I also, it's hard because like, and even in Next Gen, I have probably like 10 favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And then like DS9, I also like am so into.
So my dad is a huge Trekkie. So you
like grew up with it then?
Yeah, like it was always
like that's awesome.
You know how there's Space Channel? He'd be able to watch the first 30 seconds of any Next Generation or original and be like, "Oh, this is where blah 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 happens." Like he's
no way. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So like he is like his favorite is Deep Space Nine. He loves that. That's his favorite. Mine, the one that I watched all the way through is Voyager. I love Voyager.
Okay, that's what I'm watching now.
Because it's just so different in the sense that, like, you know, they're by themselves. There's no Federation to come save their ass if something goes wrong. So there's some real drama there.
Oh, and crazy. Like I feel like what I like about it. So I think like when they made Next Gen and they were still like kind of trying to figure out the like blueprint of the show or whatever, like they were still trying to figure out their story writing and like what they were going to do, because Gene Roddenberry didn't want there to be any conflict, because he was like, oh, we're going to live in a world where we're not going to have that within each other kind of thing. So I think it took like 4 seasons for them to like really understand the format of the show. And it took those 4 seasons. And then finally they like realized or discovered that like you could focus in on a specific character and it could be like about them in the episode or something like that. Anyway, so like, I think it just took some time and to get their grounding, and then they got it. So I think what's cool about Voyager is like, because it is again like on the ship and stuff like that, it's almost like an extension of that writing, or they mimic that writing. So then it's like from the first episode, it's awesome. Like it is awesome. And it is, I'm only on season 4.
Okay. So I can't tell you my favorite stuff.
So
I can't tell you my favorite part of Voyager. Because it happens later on.
Okay. I'll tell you when I've finished.
Okay. I love the relationship between Paris and is it Diana? No. Wow, what's her name?
B'Elanna?
Yeah. And Paris is like my favorite character of all time because he's so funny.
He's so funny, and he's so fucking handsome. Like, he's so like, I'm just like, you can do anything you want. Like, you can do anything. You're amazing.
My favorite Next Generation episode is when they go back and there's war with the Klingons. They have the whole war motif and everything. I don't know why I love that episode so much. There's another great episode where Picard lives his life where he has a family, and that's
Inner Light. I knew exactly what I knew exactly.
But my favorite episode is when the Federation is like, they sent Riker down to kind of like explore if this planet's ready to become part of the Federation.
Yeah.
And the people and there's one guy that they find out he's the alien. He's the alien there. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Like half for some reason.
So it's the reason I like that episode so much is because it's such a referential thing to how like our species react to a human to an alien. Where like the government knows it's there, and the one is like, we're not ready, and so he tries to tries to get Kirk to kill him, but it's on stun, right? And then it's finally like Picard comes down and he's like, we want to invite you, you guys are ready, and he's like, you guys might be ready to have us, but we're not ready to have you. And so he takes the one scientist with them, and then this planet's just left like knowing that there's life, like only a select few people know there's life out there. And
oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah, that episode to me is just like,
oh, I have to rewatch that one.
That to me, I was like, that one hit me because I was like, oh, this is what would happen in reality, supposedly. Like, we wouldn't be ready.
No, oh my God, no. Man, that's a cool one. Also, there are four lights.
Oh fuck yeah!
I can't even. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't even. That that kills me.
Fuck, the Borg and Voyager is so good.
So good. And 7 of 9 is like,
it gets so much better. There's a whole thing at the end. Yeah. The season finale is the series finale is one of my favorites. It's very Borg centric. Okay. It's awesome.
Okay. Don't tell me too much. But my favorite thing, like, just also we were talking about comedy and stuff like that. My favorite is how Deep Space Nine, I think, uses comedy in such an interesting and unique way, where a lot of the time, like,
with Quark.
Yes, like it's one of the, and like there are no jokes, like there are no written jokes, but everyone's like physical comedy or like little comments, and it's just like a kind of a lighter. And it's so funny. And that's the one where it's like, if I'm ever in a bad mood or like sad or anything, I go to DS9 because it is so funny. And just like in the littlest things are so funny. Like there's this one scene that I love where I don't even remember the episode or whatever, but there's like this crime of like somebody did this crime or whatever. And Odo is trying to figure out who it was. And he's talking to the captain.
I think Odo plays the best straight guy.
Amazing. Oh my God. He's so funny. He's so funny as a straight man because so it's like, he's talking with Cisco and then he's like talking to like, okay, yeah. So like I've listed off, or I've like have a list of all the suspects. Like this Klingon, this Bajoran, Quark, and then Cisco's like, you don't think Quark did this? And he was like, I always investigate Quark, or something like that. And it is like so funny, like it's so funny like that. And I just, oh God, I love it.
So have you been watching any of the newer properties like Discovery or Picard?
I watched Picard.
Do you want to talk about the ending? We can talk about it if you want to talk about it. Because that might be one of the most disappointing TV moments in my life.
Really? I didn't like any of it. I'm so sorry. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like it at all. But I kept watching also because it was I loved Picard. I love Picard. I love that character so much. But it also was the first for me because I was like a late Trekkie. It was the first show that came out that I could watch it as it was coming out. So I watched it. I didn't like it. Ooh. And the reason I don't like it is because I completely understand that like we are like TV shows that are coming out have to fit the criteria and like fit the format of shows that we are all watching and ingesting and stuff like that. But for me, that's not the Star Trek format.
It's exploration, new city.
Yes, and not even that. Like it's like the show is like trying to be too modern in terms of its writing.
That's what my dad said was the problem with Enterprise. Is that like the reason why Enterprise didn't work is because they didn't go explore. There was too many connecting episodes.
Okay, so I haven't seen any of Enterprise, but like. So even like, okay, so there's like Data's daughter or whatever, like in Picard.
$2,
yeah. What's her name?
No fucking
one of them. I don't even know. Anyway, so she's like she's like with that Vulcan, or no, sorry, she's with that Romulan on.
Fun fact: have you ever seen oh god, with Eva Green in it?
Ooh.
With Josh Hartnett, it's the sci-fi on the monsters and everything.
No, with Josh Hartnett.
Fuck me. Anyways, he plays Frankenstein in it. That Romulan.
Oh, crazy. Okay. No, I haven't seen that at all. But and then they're just like having this. So it's like her and this Romulan. She's like, what are we? Like what's our relation? Like, what are we? And I'm like, this is so fucking like, why, like you are, this is stupid. And then even like, there's this whole fucking episode where Raffi is trying to figure out why this guy is in a bad mood on the ship, like the guy, like the captain. But you know how the captain of that ship has like different
PTSD from seeing his captain get killed. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but has different, but it has all these different like holograms of him, and she spends the whole episode like talking to every one of them, being like, what's he mad about? And I'm just like, what is this guy?
So there's a lot wrong with that show. I like the beginning of like Picard being like the guy that is trying to protect the person, the young child, because he failed. He's had failures in his life.
Yeah. But
the ending where like Picard dies and you see everyone, the trauma of that affect everyone so deeply. And then all of a sudden he's alive on the ship and there's no realization that he's still alive or like what they did. They're just like, oh, he's in an android body now. So I'm like, what the guys? It makes me very weird. It makes me very worried because they're going to do season 2 and Q's involved. So I'm like,
I know.
I'm very weary about that.
I'm so weary, but I love the character of Q so much.
Yeah. When Cisco punches him out, it's great.
Yes. He's one of my favorites. He is one of my absolute favorites. I think my favorite. Funny.
I think Q's relationship with Janeway is probably my favorite because I think they actually do care about each other. I think Q was actually had a love interest with Janeway, and I'm like, I would have actually loved to have seen that kind of grow a little bit.
That would have been so wonderful. I absolutely adore him.
Now let's talk about Discovery. Have you seen Discovery? That one's really good.
Really? No, because I watched my very first episode last night because it was on well, I don't know if it's always been on CTV, or maybe not CTV, is it? Like the Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah, like CTV Sci-Fi Channel. You know how they have like Star Trek throughout the whole week?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So it's like Monday's original series, Tuesday's Next Gen, Wednesday's DS9, Thursday's Voyager, and then Friday's Discovery. That's my favorite thing. I have it on all the time.
So Discovery, in my opinion, does a great job of like making it a Star Trek show, but like having like a storyline throughout the series. Because they do have like side episodes, but then there's a continuing arc, and the twist at the end is like, ooh, did not see that one coming.
Really? Yeah. So so Mitch, you have literally seen like every series.
I've watched everything. I haven't like
wow.
I've not watched every episode of every series, but I know every series. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I've
only seen season 1 of Discovery.
Okay.
So I think I'm missing 3 seasons, but just who has the time?
Who has the time? Literally. Because no, I haven't seen that. So I just started I've seen some of the original series. I started watching it with my dad, and then we haven't been able to see each other.
I'll try and sell you on Discovery. There are swear words and there are Klingon titties. there's
Amazing.
there's a Klingon sex scene, and where I was like, oh, this is not. Oh, those are boobs.
No way.
No
way.
Very surprised.
Next question. If Klingons have a redundant set of things, does that mean they have 4 boobs?
No, just normal.
Every
Klingon female you've seen is.
Oh, I didn't. Just the two little pups.
They're not on Mars, Kristen.
Yeah.
It's not. You know what I mean?
Just curious. Just wondering. So.
All right, so we've gotten the obligatory Star Trek talk out of the way. Wait, speaking, you love comedy. Have you seen Below Deck, the animated series?
Lower Decks? No, I have not. But you know what's so funny is that literally just before it was announced, I started writing my own Star Trek, or my own like spaceship idea, and it was about the lower rank people, and I was like, this is so funny, nobody's thought of this is so different. And I was like, ha 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 ha, like writing it, and then it was like, and then all of a sudden it was like Star Trek Lower Decks, and I was like, okay, so
maybe you should write an episode and submit it and see what happens.
Really? You think so?
Why not?
That would be wonderful.
It doesn't hurt to write something and throw it out into the universe. Sometimes those are the things that just catch.
Amen. That is a wonderful point. I'm so sorry, actually. I have seen the first episode, and then I didn't see anything else. And the only reason was because I'm so sorry, I just didn't really like it. But this is the reason, is I didn't like it how in the very first episode, they like the problem that they have to solve is that there's like some sort of infection going through or whatever, and it like turns everyone into zombies. And I was just like, this. Are
you over the zombie craze as well?
I just felt like they were like catering to a greater audience, or they were trying to like, oh, let's do zombie stuff because everybody likes zombie stuff, or it's like.
So that's the thing though, right? In terms of TV, you want to hook the audience in.
Yes.
With a simple concept, and then you try all the weird stuff later on.
It's so true. I get it. I think because I'm just so stuck in old Star Trek. You know what I mean?
I watched a few episodes. I thought they were pretty good.
Really? Okay. Yeah, and I only watched that one, and you should always take a risk like on more than just the pilot, of course.
So I always say my rule of thumb is watch 3. Watch 3 to 4 episodes and see if you like it.
Yeah, which is good. And that's a better track record for most of Trek. Because again, like Next Gen, like first 4 seasons are like
hard to get
through. Even with DS9, I found like the first couple of seasons.
What's your favorite movie?
I haven't seen that. Oh no, I have seen a lot of the Next Gen ones actually. I love First Contact.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I do. I love that one. And
speaking of comedy, like having just like so good.
So good. It's so funny. And then I also like loved the reboot, like the very first Star Trek. Oh, yeah. I actually thought it really kicked ass.
Yeah. I thought the third one was great. With Idris Elba as a bad guy, I was this is awesome.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I've seen that one. I just get so stuck in like the old, I know what I love, so I like stay there. You know what I mean?
No, you gotta fucking branch out.
I know, I gotta venture out.
You gotta take that risk. Like my wife and I, we always like we sometimes we're just like, oh, let's try this one and see how it doesn't always hit, but at least we have like there's this movie that we watched called Patient Zero, right? It was a zombie film, and it had Alan Tudyk as the lead zombie, but like he was a smart zombie and communicate. So Matt Smith's in it as well, and he's the only one that can communicate with zombies. And the concept is so fucking fantastic, and like it's good, but the overall direction of the movie is shite. And so it just fails. So it's like one of those movies where like, I see what they were going for, and if they just done this a little bit differently, it would have been great. But instead, they get it the way they did, and it was like shit.
No way. What was that called again? Sorry.
Patient Zero.
Patient Zero. Very interesting. Yeah, I gotta get better at doing that. I've found actually, I think that is a symptom of, or not a symptom, but like,
Of being from a small town and doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, I agree.
yeah, and also at that of 100%. But I actually saw somewhere that it's also,
This is where we get into the therapy portion of the podcast.
Yeah, I think so, because I was about to say, I'm like, I think that's a symptom of anxiety. But I've heard that I definitely have anxiety, and my whole life have always loved to watch films that I've already seen before, because I am more comfortable, because I know it's going to happen, and rather than it be like something that I don't know why. So
see, I don't know if that's a form of anxiety. I'm sure you have anxiety. I think everyone has anxiety. I think everyone, as they grow older, gets anxiety and they just go to what comforts them right away. So like I've seen the same movies like multiple times, right? So I mean, I've done too, where like I'm flipping through, I'm like, do I want to watch something new, or do I just want to watch Talladega Nights again?
Yeah. I love Talladega Nights.
Dude, it's my favorite comedy. It's so good.
Really?
That and Walk Hard.
Oh my God. Okay. I could talk about Walk Hard forever. And it is so funny. And actually, one of my friends, for his birthday, I organized this table read of Walk Hard because it's his favorite film. And I was like,
the wrong kid died.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny. I love John C. Reilly more than anything in the world.
So like I can appreciate those kind of comedies, right? I've tried to show Maka, my wife, a few of those, and like I showed her Step Brothers, right? And she got 20 minutes into it and she looks to me and she's like, are they retarded? Like, what's going on?
Oh my God.
She hated that, like those characters so much. She's like, what is wrong with them? How are they acting like this as grown adults?
Oh my God. It's so funny. What is your favorite movie, may I ask?
So my favorite movie is Collateral.
Why do I know that? What is that?
Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx. Tom Cruise is Silver Fox in it. Michael Mann directed.
Yeah.
Great cinematography. Great. Mark Ruffalo's in it.
Wow. Whoa. Is that, wait, did you say there was Tom Cruise and who else? Nicole Kidman?
Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. Okay, never mind. It was a different film.
I'm forgetting her name. God, Will Smith's wife. I should know her
name.
Jada Pinkett Smith and Mark Ruffalo.
I also adore Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. So that's a movie to me, like it has very funny bits. It has a relationship that grows throughout the film between Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. The stylization of the movie is fucking stunning. It is one of the most beautiful films. Such a beautiful looking film. And I think the ending is I have had an argument with my friends about the ending, how they think, I don't want to spoil it, but like, and they're like, I take the side of the director on how that could have happened and how it would have worked. And they're like, no, it shouldn't have done that way. The ending's lame. And I'm like, agree, disagree. And they're like, you're an idiot, Mitch. And I'm like, all right, go travel outside of my hometown and then we'll talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that and like a movie like Drive is great too.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen that one.
It's Ryan, one of Ryan Gosling's like best subtle performances.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I do adore him. No, I gotta watch that one.
Yeah. Have you seen Blade Runner 2049?
No. And the only reason is
that movie is long as shit, but it's awesome.
Really? Yeah. Okay, only because I haven't seen the original yet. I haven't.
You don't need to see the original to see it.
Oh.
No.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Maybe I will just watch it.
Yeah, it's done by the guy who's doing Dune, Denis Villeneuve, and he's a fantastic director.
Wonderful. You're selling it. You're really selling it.
I do. I love movies. I love movies.
I love movies.
Yeah. So we're so off topic now.
I know. I love,
but it's so great.
Mitch.
So we talked about comedy, about Star Trek, and you worked on a cruise ship for only 8 months. 8 months?
5
No,
months.
5 months. What were the lessons that you learned from that experience working on a cruise ship?
That is a wonderful question. I learned a lot.
No, lesson number 1: how to drink multiple beers in a night and wake up early and go to work.
Yes. Yes. If anything, I learned that. How to not save as much money as you probably should have because you spent it all at the bar. Yes. I do get that. I learned, okay, so actually like working on cruise ships, I feel like was where I really honed in my skills to be a performer. Because when my job became like speaking in front of an audience, literally like that was my job, it made me so much more confident on stage than I ever have been. So it's helped with my comedy so much, but especially like where now I work as once in a while I work as a television host, and that's something that like I completely only have any experience in or am even a little bit good at it because I was this host on cruise ships. So personally, like it helped me. I learned so much from that. I also loved how like the representation on a cruise ship like is just so diverse, and what's so cool is like you learn so much about different cultures. And literally like when I would go down, like literally like on my lunch break, I would sit with my friends who were like on the same team as me, and at that table would be like me from Canada, my friend from England, Mexico, Ireland, Philippines, and we could just sit there and be like, hey, what do you think about abortion? Like, what do you think about healthcare? Or like, what do you think about whatever? And we could all just like bring our own cultures and experience and be able to have this debate about literally anything. And it was really cool to see so many sides about it. But I think what the biggest takeaway from everything that I got was like, it really was like a microcosm of the world and capitalism and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
and it was really, it started to make me very uncomfortable, because it was like I'm literally being taught to, if this person shows you this card that shows that they're a diamond member,
Yeah.
you need to treat that person with literally, you need to do anything for that person. And it's like, just because they bought that card, they have to be treated that way. And then it's like, so you see that extent of it. And then on the other extreme being like, I see all these people from like recovering countries working as a housekeeper 12 hours a day for 8 months, and even like and they have to do it like that. I guess that was also the biggest wake up call for me, was because it was like I was there as a job for fun. Like I was there because I was
and you had that luxury too, right?
Exactly. So, like I was just this privileged white girl that it was like, oh, my job is going to be that I want to make everybody laugh, and my contract's only 7 months, and like, yeah, I never have a day off, but like this is my job. And then it's like on the flip side, there are people from like India and like Philippines and like all these places that are like, they have to be there, and they literally have to go work on the cruise ship. They have family at home, they have children, babies at home that they haven't even met yet, who like they need to be support, and their hours are so much longer. They don't get as paid as much money as I get. Their contracts are even longer, and it's just like, and they get treated, that job is like that, but that job, like, you know what I mean? And it was just like it made me very uncomfortable, and it was just like a really big wake up call of like,
yeah, the classism of cruise ships is something that I always was bugged by. But the greatest thing about having, I think that's a benefit of having, like, I don't know, morals, I guess. But like you appreciate, stuff a lot more when you come home. Like I'm not like when COVID happens, like I see all these people that are my friends and everything, they're all complaining, blah, 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 blah. And like about small things. And I'm like, I mean, dude, like you have no idea what a fucking 12-hour day workday and how like when you do a 12-hour workday and how little appreciation you get for that sort of work is like, it's just like, can we calm down a little bit on the negative? Yeah, but we don't have that perspective because they don't have that experience of meeting people from different backgrounds,
Yeah,
cultures, and that sort of thing. So I
it's
think that's
true.
probably one of the coolest things. It is funny because like we talked about how you had your spot on the comedy show Stand and Deliver, and like you mentioned that you had an Italian boyfriend. I was like, that's not going to work out.
Oh yeah, I did. I had a Portuguese boyfriend. Yeah, and that
I'm
was it.
guessing he
Like,
was an officer. So
he was
had his own
no,
cabin, maybe. I don't
no,
know.
no, nothing like that. Although I know that's how a lot of people form their relationships on those ships. 100%. Like I know people who are like, I want to date the cruise director just because he has this huge bed and this huge porthole and this huge like all this stuff. And literally, people base their relationships off of that on there. It's insane.
My first contract, I came in so naive and so
Yeah.
young, and so like, oh, this is gonna be a great experience. And then you see it. Oh, wait, aren't they married and they're kissing? Wait, is that a guy?
Yeah.
Wait, so he's married to a girl back home, but he's making out with dude over the. Ooh, this is a weird space.
Yeah, it's like they're
It corrupted my
exactly.
idea of like a relationship, to be honest, like for a long time. Like
Oh
I
my
was very
gosh.
hesitant of like starting anything on a ship.
Well, it's so true because I would see people who were, yeah, exactly, like had like partners at home that they were like, and then be, yeah, it was awful. Actually, I saw a lot of that. So when you met Maka, where like what contract were you at? Like, did you guys try to date while you were both working?
Fucking, what contract was that? That's a good question. Um, so I did 4 contracts, took a 2-year break, and then I did 4 more. And so I met her on my second
Oh,
go around. So I was less jaded and everything. So
yeah.
um, I met her on, I think it was my first contract back, like late into my contract. And
Wow.
we were in Guernsey having dinner, and we were talking about our relationship. I'm like, I don't know, do you want to link up? Do you want to try and she was so happy. And so we linked up and we were able to do 4 contracts back to back together.
Wow,
Yeah.
Mitch, that is so wonderful. How easy or hard was it to link up?
Well, so I'm an idiot, so I had her do
Yeah.
everything. So she did all the paperwork and everything. She was the one that did all the
Yeah.
work, and I was just the one that helped her on stressful days at work, sort of thing.
Oh,
So,
that's sweet.
but we
Because I
got to
just
share a
know,
cabin. We got to share a
yeah,
cabin for
okay,
a bit and
good.
everything. So
I just know like on Royal, not that it happened to me, but like I know like people were complaining that it can be like really difficult and you need to prove that like you live together outside of the cruise ship even or like something like that. And you're like,
yeah,
this is a lot. I don't.
yeah. No, we had to fill like a relationship form. Like we confirmed that we are in a relationship, sort of thing.
Okay.
Princess Cruises, like for how it ended, like treat their employees very, very well.
Yeah.
For the grand
Oh,
scheme of
that's
things, like
wonderful.
they do a great job. And it's just like I have bitterness towards one singular person, and I'm glad that he
Ooh.
got fired.
Oh, good. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was like, I mean, I don't know, it was like I'm never gonna forget those memories, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's
Oh,
so
very
nice.
nice.
I was actually talking to another guy, Steve Mack, and he's like a guy that's involved with like wrestling. He has his character
Cool.
name. He has his character named Stevel. And the reason I wanted to talk to him is because he used to work on cruise ships back in the 1990s, where they paid 50 cents for a
Wow.
beer.
That would have been
So we shared some
wonderful.
stories on that podcast. So that'll be coming out sometime around yours. So it'll be like a cruise ship episode period of time. But it was fascinating because he did some stuff in the military, cruise ships. Like
Wow.
he had lived a very fascinating life, sort of thing.
That's phenomenal.
But yeah, I mean, so now you're done ships, you're done traveling for the time being because of COVID restrictions and everything.
Yeah.
But you are also, I see you with that ukulele, and I see you dancing your heart out. So tell me about how was did you start dancing and start doing songs on YouTube as like a way to just kind of like do something, or was that something you've always wanted to do?
So it's funny, they're both very different actually. So I started dancing when I was like 5 years old, probably. And up until I was like 22, that was a very, very big part of my life. And so I took dance lessons, yeah, for like 16 years probably and I loved dancing. And when I was at university, it was like the one thing that I loved to do at university. And I was on the varsity dance team, and I loved it. And then since then, I just find that like once you get out of school and you're an adult dancer, it kind of gets harder to do, and it gets harder like you because also once you stop dancing regularly, like your body just, you're not going to be as flexible, you're going to lose all your technique, like all that stuff. So I now like, I don't even really call myself a dancer anymore, which is actually really sad because it was for so long.
But I mean, I saw you post
life.
a recent video and it looked awesome.
Yeah,
like,
thank you. That's kind. That's sweet. So I'm so lucky that I'm able to go to this dance studio here in Halifax called House of Eights, and they do have like this amazing like drop-in class.
Sorry, what's the name again?
It's called House of Eights.
Okay, I thought you said House of AIDS.
Oh,
so
no, very different.
I was like, is this like where you just do Rent musicals and stuff?
It's just like that, essentially. No, House of Eights, and they have like this awesome drop-in class where you like get to learn choreography in that class, and then you at the end of the class like get to make a little video of doing it. So I did that every once in a while. Again, like I mean, there's been COVID, and then on top of that, like just where I work in film and TV, and I'm sure you know as well, like when I'm working, like I'm working all the time, and you're working like, because I also work on a lot of scripted stuff outside of Eastlink's reality television. So it's like I feel like I don't even have time to go because I'm like tired all the time, and like work like 5 or 6 days a week, 12-hour days a day. Like I just don't have the time for it as much as I used to, which is very sad. And I'd love to get back into it. But so I just kind of like do that when I'm able to, like here and there. But ukulele is something that I started doing when I started doing stand-up comedy, and it was about the same time, and it was like just before I moved to Toronto. My same brother Tommy. I
like Tommy. He seems like a good guy.
He's actually my best friend in the entire world. He is the best person ever. But again, because he's a musician, and we were in the car, and I was like, maybe I should start doing musical comedy. Like maybe I should start making funny songs. And then
100%, you should, yes.
Yeah, and then thank you. And then he literally right then drove me to Long and McQuaid, bought me a ukulele, and I started. And before I left for Toronto, we actually did make a music video together of a comedy song that I made. Which I won't spoil it, but the title of it is called Living in the Past, and it's on YouTube, and you can see a much younger version of myself doing it. But so I made that music video. I tried to make another one later, like when I was in Toronto, which is also on YouTube, but it's called 54. And it is not so good. And then I kind of put it down. And like, since then I pick it up every once in a while, and then I put it down for like 8 months, and then I pick it up again. And then right now I just happen to be in this time where I like playing it again. And I'm actually like kind of picking along at it, but I haven't picked it up in like a year probably. So I'm just kind of, those are both like little hobbies, things that I do.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with like having those as hobbies. There's nothing wrong with having comedy as a hobby. I mean, you should always do something that you love to do. Doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, right? I mean, It's like, you don't want what you love to become work and make you pay, right? Doing work is like the worst.
Yes, it is. And I find sometimes like we just have like as a culture right now, we have like productivity anxiety, and we're like, oh, we have to be productive, we have to put stuff out.
I feel like the exact opposite, because I feel like I feel like COVID, no one wants to do anything because they're like, as soon as they start to do something, it'll be taken away from them. So I feel like everyone's just kind of waiting, and then as soon as this thing's done, you're gonna see this explosion of creativity.
I hope so. I think like especially any like thing that you could do that could make money. Like I find people are very like, oh, like if you're good at this, you got to do a side hustle. Everybody has to have a side hustle. Like,
see, I'm not even interested in making money on my side hustles.
yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
like doing this podcast thing has helped my mental health like astronomically. Like just
Really,
talking to people and
Mitch?
like these, yeah, because like I was putting it off for a long time. Like, and I realized like, well, you know, with my background on cruise ships and wrestling and comedy and video producing, like I know a lot of fucking cool people. I should just talk to them.
Yeah.
And then
Oh my gosh.
I'm hoping this platform allows me to reach out to other people that I've never met before, like yourself. You know, we've been talking for almost an hour and a half now. So,
Wow. It hasn't felt like that at all.
yeah, you know, so like I'm like just small things where like, and like I've always thought like, you know, do something that you love, and you know, if it ends up making you money, great. Like if I do comedy and you know, I someone says, hey, you want to do this show? Great. If it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world for me.
You got to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and like at some point, like if it comes to a crossroads before like where do you want to do the creative thing and make money, or like just keep your normal life, I look forward to that maybe happening down the road.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's a good conflict of interest to have.
Yes. It's nice to just put that out into the universe too.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer
like I said,
in that.
I think you should write a script for the Lower Deck show and send it off, because fuck it, who knows?
Thank you. That is a wonderful idea, and actually,
fuck it, who knows should be the new motto of 2022.
That's amazing. I'm here for it. I'm gonna get that tattooed. We're
Yeah,
all getting that tattooed.
So, yeah. And speaking, you have a few tattoos. What do you got on there?
I have a few. I have, actually, I'll show you a couple of my favorites. Actually, okay. So I'll start with this one. Hope that you can see this. Okay. This one is a
Saturn with a heart. Saturn with a heart.
Yeah. And this is a matching tattoo that I have with Tommy, my brother and best friend. So we have that together. And actually, I went to go visit him while he was working on a cruise ship, and I went to go visit, and we got these together in a port. This is probably one of my other favorite ones, is that I have, this is actually an image from that music video that I was telling you about, Living in the Past. This is an image from it that it's
a dinosaur or a stegosaurus with a heart.
Yeah, it's a stegosaurus.
I feel like hearts are a theme.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to. So this one, in the video, I like asked this. I had a 7-year-old that was in it, and I asked her to draw like a dinosaur for it, and she drew that with that heart in it and everything. And then I was like, that's really sweet. And so then my friend did that for me with it's a stick and poke, actually.
Ooh,
and so
old school.
Yeah, real old school. I have a few stick and pokes, and that's one of them that I loved. And then I actually gave myself a stick and poke last year during quarantine, right after I finished my space pursuit video. I gave myself this tattoo, which I'm very excited about. I don't know how I'm going to show it. Give me 1 second.
This is happening on.
Yeah, I'm like, let me figure this out. Okay, wait.
Oh, nice. Star Trek emblem.
Yeah. And I gave that. So that one was a harder one because I had to do it to myself. So I had to like sit like this and do it for like 7 hours. It took me so long to do it. And it's a bit wonky even, but I'm so happy with it.
Yeah. One of my best friends is a musician on the ships too. And he got this homemade tattoo kit. So like, every time he came to the bar, he'd have like new tattoos on his hands from just so he's one of the most ridiculous people I know, but he's also like one of the coolest people I know. And so I'm gonna have him on the show later.
You are, Mitch. That's so cool.
He's a musician. Gosh. Why would I want to have a musician on?
And a tattoo artist, apparently.
No, not a tattoo artist. Not a tattoo artist.
We need to clarify that. He is not a licensed
do not. I asked him to give me a tattoo, and he's like, no, really? Man. Well, yeah, because like if you do something like if you do a tattoo on your hands, it's usually gonna go away. Like so much.
Yeah, I have one on my hand. I have this one.
Oh, peace. Yeah,
it's a peace sign on my middle finger. So I thought like when I go to flip people off, but then it's like peace.
So he has a fuck off on his right above his knees. So I'm like, why do you have that? God. He's like, well, in case everyone tells me to kneel down, they can see. And he's got lots of tattoos. Well,
That's
Kristyn,
so cool.
I feel like we could probably talk for hours.
I know, Mitch. We definitely could. We have
And if
so much
you
in
are
common.
ever in the London area, please come say hi. I will
I
show
would
you around town,
absolutely
everything.
love to. That is so kind of you to say, Mitch. If you're ever in Halifax, please let me know, and we will go to a bar and we will do this for like 10 hours.
Yeah, just boring the people that were around with.
Yeah.
I remember I met with my friend Denise, who I met on ships. She's from Toronto, and we went to the bar, and she had her boyfriend or a guy she was seeing, and I had my friend Zach, and it was just me and her talking about ship life, and then just like two on the side, not being able to talk at all. I was like, I feel kind of bad, but not really.
But not really. We have a special bond. Like people who work on cruise ships, honestly, I feel like we have a special bond.
For sure. So like you are a dancer, ukulele player, Trekkie, cruise staff, comedian, overall entertainer. You're always putting stuff out. Where can people find the stuff that you put out?
Thank you. That's so kind. Definitely my Instagram is probably the best way to go, which is at Kristyn Green, what's yours? But my name is spelled Kristyn, Kristyn Green, what's yours? And I also have a YouTube channel, which is also just, I think, under Kristyn Green. There's not a lot on there, but anything that I do make, I put on there. And then I got Facebook and Tinder and
dating in the pandemic. I cannot imagine how you can do that.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. You just date yourself and then you're always happy.
I just imagine you like walking in front of a mirror with a mustache, like, oh, hello, how are you today? Like you're just portraying different characters.
I am, and I have to constantly pump myself up. I'm constantly like, wow, you look great. Like, like all the time.
So I did want to ask you one thing about your Eastlink TV show, the horror show.
Yeah.
Fucking, I think everyone's seen Ghost Adventures. Come at me, bro. Come on, Ghost. Scratch me. Whatever bullshit that is. Tell me a little bit about that and what have been some of the more spookier experiences you've had.
Cool. That's a great question. Yeah, I worked on it. I only did it for one season. It was their season 4, which now they're on season 6. And the season finale is actually premiering tonight. Very exciting. But when I was on in season 4, it was cool. I wish that I knew a bit more about it. Like I now looking back on it, and especially I wasn't as confident in my role, and I didn't know, like I look back on it and I think I was a bit too timid. And so I didn't even have anything like super weird happen to me. But it was a really good experience too. Like, and I met all these amazing people, and you're like, because half the time too, you're learning, it's like improvising kind of like, and so even like if there's not a lot going on, you have to think about how to keep this interesting and how to keep the viewers involved. And that's like a really cool thing to know. And then that show ended up, from being on that show, I ended up getting a show last year that I was hosting, that I was the host of, it's called Handcrafted, but it's also on Eastlink. And so I hosted that one, and it was about like local artisans, and that one was really cool. And I hope to keep hosting television shows because I really like to do it. But I can't think of like the spookiest thing. I saw a lot of like really darker than dark shadows. I like thought I felt somebody touching my hand one time. Actually, no, I remember. We were at the Fortress of Louisburg, I don't know, but it is in Cape Breton. And we were in this house, and it was like nobody was there. Like, and they like, because they know we're here filming. And we were in this house, and the 3 of us were like in the downstairs, and we were like filming, and we were hearing footsteps above us, like walking around, and we would hear it like over here, but then we would hear it like over here. And it was like footsteps, constant creaking, like, and we were all like, that is like somebody's walking up there. But no, of course, nobody was. Like, we were the only ones there. That was pretty capital S spooky, I would say. That was a bit much, but now, so I haven't done that in a couple years, and I would love to do it again, but I also love hosting stuff that doesn't scare the shit out of me all the time. Is also a bit more fun.
All right, Kristyn. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm gonna hit stop recording, and we're gonna continue talking because this is fun.
Of course, Mitch. Thank you also so much for asking me, inviting me. I was just the most honored when you asked me. I really was.
No problem. I'm honored for having you on. Like, this has been one of my more favorite conversations.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Of course, yeah. I mean, like we've met. This is the first time we've ever met, but like, and it's been almost 2 hours of talking. So I mean, I feel like it's a brand new friendship. This is great. You guys just saw a new friendship just get formed live in front of you guys.
Live. It's live.
Live, but pre-taped somehow.
Yeah. And time is an illusion.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Kristyn Green. I mean, that was a lot of fun for me. She's done a lot of things in her life, and she's going to do a lot more. And I think that she's someone that you guys should maybe look out for going forward. Again, I have it all posted in the bio and everything, but you can reach out to her via the social medias and everything. With the way the momentum of this podcast is going, I'm just really enjoying being able to talk to some of these people and hear their stories and share their stories. And I'm looking forward to the next episode and the next episode and the next episode. And I hope we can keep this thing going forward. Until next time, have a good one. Cheers.